Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the next in our series of webcasts that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly as part of our Roadmap to Recovery series. And I'm delighted to be joined this morning by the Vice President of Sales at Virgin Atlantic, and that is Lee Haslett. So welcome, Lee.
Hello, nice to be here.
Yeah, it's really great to speak to you. And of course, it's really timely that we've got you on because a couple of exciting things have happened. First of all, your refinancing was confirmed last week. So headline figure of 1.2 billion. I know that was a combination of deferring payments, but also money from a US hedge fund and also from Branson selling some of his shares. So, I mean, it sounds like it's pretty comprehensive. It must have been a real relief for you guys.
Yeah, first of all, hello everybody, and it's great to be here. Yes, last week was a major milestone for us, and a major milestone towards us securing our future. I think for everybody, the past 6 months have been incredibly challenging. I think it's been incredibly challenging on the aviation sector, and I think you've seen that globally. But the restructuring, the finance restructuring plan that we announced last week is a 5-year business plan, and it has the support of our shareholders, Virgin Group and Delta, and new private investors, and also support of our existing creditors. And it really does pave the way for the airline to rebuild its balance sheet and return to profitability in 2022. The recapitalisation will deliver a refinancing package worth circa, as you said, Lucy, 1.2 billion over the next 18 months. In addition to the self-help measures that we've already taken, as has been well documented, we took some very early, and I think it's fair to say we were out the blocks first in some of the difficult self-help measures we had to take around restructuring of our organisation, and those cost savings have delivered circa £280 million per year, and then also a circa 880 million of rephasing and financing of aircraft deliveries over the next 5 years. Our shareholders are providing circa 600 million in support over the life of the plan, including a £200 million investment from Virgin Group, and a deferral of about 400 million of shareholder deferral and waivers. We also welcome a new external funding from Davis Kempter Capital Manager Limited, who will be providing 170 million pounds of funding. And
you're on your figures this morning, Lee. This is
yes,
good.
And our creditors are also we're going to defer 450 million now of deferrals. And the big thing as well is we've got the continued support of our card acquirers, Lloyd's Card and Data, which is really important for that continued cash flow. So it's been a difficult period, but a real milestone last week for us.
Yeah, well, we're delighted to see that go through, Lee. Just clarify the hedge fund, though, this new investor in the business, they've not taken a stake in the business. This is just presumably money that's going to be presumably securitized against slots or something, is it? I mean, because they're not taking a stake in the business.
The shareholding of the business doesn't change, so
right.
We'll still be 51% owned by Virgin Group and 49% owned by Delta. This will be a secured funding loan that will be provided to us.
Okay, all right. And then obviously, you do have to pay this money back, and you mentioned there that you're hoping to return to profitability by 2022, mm-hmm. which is brilliant and remarkable, given most people are saying the economy and the industry won't be anywhere near back to normal until about 2023, 24. So, how are you proposing to sort of get back into profitability quite so soon?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, you read what's out there from an industry perspective. We think it will be 3.5 years until we get back to 2019's capacity. So it will take a period of time to get back to that level of capacity that we saw in 2019. But through the very decisive action that we've taken, so you would have read in Travel Weekly yourselves a few months ago, some of the difficult decisions we've made to restructure the business. So within our 5-year plan and returning to profitability, we have all those scenarios in there of less capacity in there, fewer travellers, if you like. We know that there's going to be some impact from a business and leisure perspective. But through the decisions we've made from a fleet and aircraft type perspective, through the decisions that we've made with our Gatwick base and Heathrow base, and then also some of the right sizing of our teams and network has resulted in our ongoing operating costs will reduce. So we have a strong plan. There's lots of scenarios within that plan, and we really believe that we'll deliver to that plan.
Okay, great. Well, you mentioned there some of the self-help measures you've taken already. You've axed already a third of your jobs, which you've mentioned, and you talked also about rephasing your aircraft deliveries. You've also shut Gatwick. Now, is that closed for good for Virgin? Is that part of this ongoing restructure plan? That's that you won't be opening that at all? And if so, which services will transfer to Heathrow, and which ones will just disappear?
So from a services perspective, I think the really exciting thing is, yes, okay, we've retired our 747s. I think the positive point from that is we have our new A350s. We're deferring some of the deliveries of those, but our A350s will arrive, and we've taken some of those into the fleet already. And then also our 787s. So we're going to have one of the youngest, greenest fleets, great from a sustainability perspective, but also from a customer experience perspective, a brand new product. One of the things that's really encouraging is that we are still flying to all of those destinations that we know our customers love. So the Gatwick destinations will still be flown from Heathrow. So you'll see, likes of Barbados and Orlando and so forth. Will move across. We did say when we first announced that we'd already confirmed that we wouldn't be flying to St Lucia. We did cancel our Newark service, which was a Heathrow service, and condensed there into JFK, which makes complete sense. And then also we weren't going to start our Sao Paulo flight right now. We're very committed to London and those destinations in Heathrow, and then also continuing those services from Manchester. So, and we will continue to serve Orlando from Belfast and Glasgow seasonally. Okay, so there is no plan to reopen at Gatwick. You're going to stick with Heathrow and Manchester, and then. Never say never. We'll review it as and when, and if it's if there's demand there, but also if it's cash positive, then we may look at it. So we still have slots. Because you'd invested in at Gatwick with your V room and everything, so it's a shame. But you're saying that in terms of the favoured routes from that airport, they're now going to be offered elsewhere. Yeah, I think everyone, you can see it with our competitors and just generally in the industry. Everyone's had to make some difficult decisions. Gatwick was a difficult one. Gatwick's where Virgin Atlantic started. We've had to make some really difficult and decisive decisions through this period to protect our survival and protect the future of the airline, and that is one of those difficult decisions we've had to make. Yeah, of course. Now you mentioned just now about business and leisure and the fact that there's going to be reduced demand. That's obvious. There's going to be fewer travellers. There has been a lot of talk that business travel might never come back to where it was, because obviously look at us. We're now very used to doing these meetings. I much prefer meeting in person, Lucy. I know. You usually have a glass of wine and lunch afterwards. It's much better. I know. Well, we're definitely going to hold out. We've got to do that again, definitely. But do you see leisure becoming a more important part of your portfolio if those trends are to be believed, that business travel might not ever come back in the way it was? So I suppose two questions there. I think leisure has always been incredibly important to Virgin Atlantic. I think if you look at some of the key routes we serve, but also our experience, it's a real balance. We are, I really believe that we're that leisure long haul airline of choice. I think we have a fantastic experience. So leisure remains as important, and it absolutely, we believe, will recover faster than business. And I think we're starting to see that already. You're starting to see pockets of people traveling back where those travel corridors have opened up, where you're not having to quarantine. And I think we're even seeing that ourselves when we look at places like Barbados and how they're booking. There's pent up demand from a leisure perspective. I think us in the UK, as soon as we see a few days of rain, we want to get in an aircraft. So I think leisure will return. From a business perspective, I think absolutely people have seen that they can work in a different way. But when I look at our business segments, there is real pent up demand from a business perspective in certain segments. So if I look at media and entertainment and production, there's been a real halt on production and media and content creation for film and so forth. So if I look at our West Coast routes, for argument's sake, there's real pent up demand for people to want to travel. There's a lot of demand for pharmaceutical travel as well, professional services. So I think it will return. I think it will slow, but one of the things I think will be more important in both of those, in leisure and business, certainly in the early time when, probably Q4 this year, when people start to return to travel, is travel agents and travel management companies are going to be more important than ever before, because customers that historically used to be very confident travelers and almost went into autopilot and knew that experience, they're new to travel again because they don't know what that onboard experience is going to look like. I was talking to a business travel customer, travel manager, and they were asking me questions like, what time should I get to the airport? How long do I need to get there before? Things that you just knew as a traveller. So I think that whole end-to-end experience within travel, not just airlines, but also when you get to airport experience, hotel, Ubers or taxis, we've all got a part to play. But I think more than ever, travel management companies and travel agents are going to be key to the recovery.
Great. Well, that is good to hear, certainly for our readers. Lee, I want to come back. Actually, you make a really good point. Everybody wants to know what it's going to be like, the experience of traveling. So we will come back to that. But first of all, we shouldn't not acknowledge that today you're restarting your operations. So restarting your services to Hong Kong today, which is really exciting. Yep. Why did you choose that particular route as your first one back? Not least because there's still quarantine measures when you're arriving into Hong Kong. So that would, put some people off if they're, I know it's not part of our quarantine issue, but it's still the restrictions to travel to Hong Kong.
Yeah, so I mean, first off, we are absolutely delighted to be welcoming customers and passengers back on board today. It's been a strange period for several months, not flying any passengers. Although during that period we've flown 1,400 cargo flights and about 1,500 tons of PPE, and done partnerships with Foreign Office and government and so forth. So we've done a lot of flying during that period, but it's fantastic to welcome passengers back on. And as you say, this evening our first flight will take off from Heathrow back to Hong Kong, and then quickly tomorrow we'll return to JFK and LAX, so in Los Angeles on the 21st. In answer to your question, we're really focused on making sure that every flight that we do is a cash positive flight. So as I alluded to, we've done 1,400 cargo flights during the last few months. So we've still been flying. When you add cargo to passenger revenue, you can afford to run slightly lower load factors. Yeah. I mean, interestingly, the load factor for our Hong Kong flight, for our first flight, is pretty high for this evening.
Good.
Because there are a lot of people repositioning. So if that's people returning to Hong Kong or people coming back from Hong Kong, yes, they'll quarantine, but
they're going to be there for a longer period, so it doesn't affect them. Okay.
Exactly. And then the belly of the plane will still be full of cargo as well. So right. It's great to get back to passenger flying. And then similarly with JFK and LAX tomorrow. And then from the 1st of August onwards, we will add a 17 additional services, which would be great to add those back into destinations that we know we love. One of the things that people do need to get used to is our network has changed. We've changed some of our arrival and departure times and so forth. So we'll be publishing those out. We've introduced we'll be introducing new double daily service to Tel Aviv, for argument's sake. So do make sure people check out the change in our network, because we've really optimized it.
Yes, that's crucial. Okay, before we move on from the States, though, I mean, you say you're opening up. I mean, you've got New York and Los Angeles coming back. But anyone flying there from the UK, if they come back to Britain, they're going to have to isolate. So it's one of the countries that is not on the COVID safe list from the government. That's obviously an issue. And also, the US is still very much considered to be the epicenter, isn't it, of this pandemic? It's really struggling. So, your flights are still going ahead. You've said that. Are they much reduced frequencies? And are you concerned about this? Because people are saying this quarantine to the US, for people coming in from the States, if they've been there, it could not be lifted until at least the end of the year. It could go on for some time.
Yeah, we're closely monitoring that, working closely with obviously government. I think the travel corridors that were announced were a solid step last week in the right direction. Obviously, from a US perspective, customers still have to quarantine. As I said, when you look at some of the load factors for what we've got at the moment, there are still a lot of passengers that want to either return home to Europe or return back to the States. We'll continue to fly cargo, and the main focus for us is making sure that our flights are cash positive, and then we'll follow the advice as and when it opens up. And I think everyone in the trade and in the industry, certainly those operators that are really dependent on the US, we're really hoping that we can, when it's safe we can start to return to holiday in destinations like Orlando that we love. And
right.
And we want to get back to that, but we need to make sure that when we return, that it's safe to do so. And
yes, and clearly, obviously, safety has to be paramount, and we understand that. But what is Virgin putting pressure on the government to make sure that does become, the US or Orlando becomes one of the corridors? I mean, what are you doing behind the scenes to sort of pressure the government?
We're working with government like everybody is across all the aviation industry. We're following that advice. There's nothing I can call out today really that we're doing probably different to anybody else. We are making sure that we're working with all of our different partners, if that's our airport partners or our partners over in the US, to ensure that we make sure that each of those destinations steadily open up step by step. You asked about frequency. We will have some reduced frequencies to these destinations to start off with, but on the flip side of that, we'll continue to look at where are there opportunities potentially to increase frequencies to where we know we've got demand, and where there are those green corridors, if you like some of the Caribbean islands.
Yeah.
But one of the things I would say, and I think everyone would agree with this, is that this situation has been so fluid. And I go back to when it started. I remember waking up, most mornings with the time difference, and it would be, okay, another country's now closed its borders.
Yeah.
And you'd lose them for a period of time. And I think it's going to be very similar to how it opens back up. And the situation will continue to be fluid. And I think we need to make sure that we're providing as much flexibility to customers, and we're all staying as informed as possible. So we're providing customers with the right information. But it is going to be will be fluid for that period of time, until we, as you say, until we get those safe corridors for each of those destinations.
Yeah. So the 17 other destinations you just mentioned there, that from August the 1st onwards, are they largely Caribbean, Canada type destinations, or where can we expect it? You don't have to give me the full list, but where are the ones where you're seeing demand and you're going to get back open?
So Barbados starts on the 1st of August, which I think is a great one, where we've got very good forward bookings for Barbados. We'll be looking at adding in Shanghai as well, Tel Aviv, those types of destinations.
Yeah, Tel Aviv is an interesting one though, because it isn't on the COVID safe list at the moment, and the Israeli government is in the process of imposing new restrictions at the moment, but you obviously feel confident. You just said you're doing double daily to Tel Aviv. So
yeah, so we've, as I say, these are fluid. I think if you looked at some of our previous announcements, originally Tel Aviv would have been into August. We've pushed that back to the 6th of September. So from the 1st of August, there's a few destinations like Miami is due to go in on the 18th. Lagos is due to go on the 23rd. And then following that, more into September, when you look at places like Atlanta and Las Vegas, and but it will continue to evolve, as this very dynamic, fluid situation continues to challenge us, I guess.
Well, it is a challenge because you're predominantly you're a long haul airline, aren't you? And that's obviously at the moment where we don't have the green corridors, by and large. So it is a challenge for you. But presumably you still feel with this fluid situation and that they'll open, that you will meet your recovery plan. You must feel confident in that.
Yeah, we are. We're delighted to be welcoming passengers back on board today. That's a real milestone for us. It was a milestone last week that we announced our recapitalisation, and we built into that plan many scenarios, some worst case scenarios and some best case scenarios. And I think I've spoken to many people during the last 6 months within the industry, and everyone has kind of got those different scenarios that they're planning to, and that's just prudent at the moment because it is continually it's a continual moving piece. But we're confident in our plan. It's been a long slog to get to where we are now, and we're confident with what we need to deliver between now and the end of the year, and then into 2021 and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, Lee, there were lots of people thinking that Virgin wouldn't get its financing and wouldn't make it through. I mean, were there times when you were really fearing the worst?
I think one of the things that has been fantastic through this period is the support that we've had from our customers and partners. And it's been difficult at times, but we've had unwavering support from our shareholders. Virgin Group have been fantastic. Delta have been fantastic. And I don't think anyone, when this started in kind of March, April time, could have predicted the damage it's had on a lot of trade, tour operators, travel agents, and airlines. We always said that from our first point of call was to secure private funding, which we've done. I think our leadership team and, as I say, our shareholders have done a phenomenal job. And it's testament to the belief that people have in our plan and this brand and what we stand for. We know we've got some rebuilding to do, and our focus now is to rebuild. I don't think anyone in travel can say that they haven't had a difficult few months.
Yes, exactly. All right, well, look, we are delighted that you've made it through, absolutely. Now, you mentioned before about having spoken to that business traveller who was asking about what's it going to be like. I know you've probably done all manner of things in terms of new health and safety protocols, etc. But could you just give us a flavour, if agents are watching this and they are going to be booking people, say, onto that new Barbados flight that's coming back, what will the experience be like from the airport to the lounge and onto the aircraft?
So I think customers and trade partners can have absolute confidence in what we're calling our Fly Safe, Fly Well program. And we've mapped every part of the experience, and as you'd expect with Virgin Atlantic, our customer experience and that challenger brand customer experience is at the heart of what we do. And we've looked at the airport. So what does the experience look like at the airport? So we've worked really closely with our partners to ensure the environment, of course, is highly sanitized. We've enhanced our cleaning through check-in, through to security and boarding. And we've done the similar things to, a lot of other people, that we put hand sanitizer stations at each location. We have safe distancing where required, particularly at check-in and boarding, where sometimes it can't be possible. We are asking customers, of course, to wear masks. the focus will be on kind of minimizing contact. So for example, encouraging customers to check in 24 hours before, asking customers to scan their own boarding passes, limiting boarding of the aircraft to kind of smaller groups at a time. And we'll also be carrying out our own protocol health screening upon arrivals, and the use of temperature checks upon arrival. The boarding experience.
On arrival at, where? You mean in destination or as they arrive at the airport?
So as they arrive at airport.
Okay, yeah.
The onboard experience, in short, again, about minimizing contact. So all customers and crew will be required to wear masks for the duration of the flight. We'll be providing these masks within our health pack. So we have a PPE kit which is a medical grade kit, which has 3 medical grade masks, surface wipes, and hand sanitizer. And
presumably they're virgin red, aren't they? You know,
they're in a virgin red box.
Oh, okay. It's just you're so known for your kind of stylish uniforms. You make a big fanfare when you do all your uniforms and stuff. You know, so I just assume that this is not going to be any old PPE.
It's medical grade PPE. I couldn't tell you if it's branded yet, but it's certainly in a fly well, fly safe box.
Okay, all right. I was gonna. If only you'd had it there, I'd have got you to model it, Lee.
Yeah, I could have done. Yeah, maybe I should have done this from the office. We will be temporarily removing some things on board as well. So things like our in-flight magazine and so forth. Food and beverage, there's been some rumours out there that we'll be removing alcohol on board. We're not. So from a food and beverage perspective, yes, it will be simplified. So we'll have a hot food service in economy and premium economy, but it'll be kind of more enclosed. It'll be prepared in a COVID style, kind of monitored environment directly to the customer's seat. And then customers in premium and economy, again, will have choice of, white or red wine and beer along with their meals and so forth.
Okay. So not a massive difference. Because I think people have been worried that, they're not going to, they have to bring their own food. It's an awful long way to be sat in a mask and then not being able to go to the toilet. I know it sounds silly, but people have been worried about it on short haul flights, let alone long haul. So it sounds that where possible, you're keeping it, as normal as you can with some extra measures taken.
As normal as we can, and making sure that we try and protect as much of the experience, but focused on, the health and safety of our crew and of course our customers. We're doing all the things you'd expect us to do with HEPA filters, that remove a lot of bacteria, 99.99% of the bacteria, and the electrostatic fogging of each of our cabins on both legs. So we're ensuring that we're working closely with the CAA and Public Health England to ensure that we meet and exceed all of those guidelines. So yeah, from a customer experience perspective, yes, it will be slightly different, but some of those things that we know they know and love will still be there.
Yeah, I mean, but having said that, all the consumer research we're looking at the minute is that the majority of people are still at the moment nervous to fly. I know we're starting to see pictures of people going back to Spain and Greece, and it's, that's fantastic that people are starting again, but it's obviously very small numbers. And I guess that's the thing. How do you get this message out to people that it is safe to travel, and to be on a plane is a safe mode of transport?
I think the key there is people starting to travel again, and because to my earlier point, people that were seasoned travelers that wouldn't have thought anything of it, and now they are. And now questioning, well, how do I do this? What does this look like? And generally, that's the people that are new to traveling, if it's long haul, short haul, cruising, whatever it is. So I go back to the point, and I really believe this. I think ensuring that travel agents, travel management companies are well informed, that airlines, hoteliers, whoever it is providing clear content, that people are clear on what the experience looks like. That will get people traveling again and give them that reassurance. And more than ever before, people are going to want to go to a travel agent or a travel management company to get that reassurance. and we need to get people travelling again.
Yeah. All right.
In a safe manner, but yes.
Yeah, of course. I want to come back to that before we finish, about how you are working with the trade, especially since you've said how important they are already, but how even more important they're going to become. So we will come to that. But I do want to talk to you a little bit about refunds, Lee, because it has obviously been a big issue for the entire industry. And there was a story in The Guardian just last week which said Virgin Atlantic has become the latest airline to leave a vapor trail of furious customers who are now being told they have to wait up to 4 months to receive refunds for their cancelled flights. And I think there was a Telegraph this morning saying that actually you're getting applications for about 1,000 refunds a day. So it's a big issue. How do you feel that you've handled it?
I think we know at times during this crisis, with regards to refunds, we've definitely fallen short of the standards of service that we hold ourselves to, and we know that we owe our trade partners and our customers a heartfelt apology. A number of customers have requested refunds they're entitled to, and so have obviously our travel agents and trade partners, and we are working through them at a rapid rate. However, a lot of our finance teams, many of our teams have been working from home and been furloughed. And we are, as you say, as you allude to, we've been managing thousands of refund requests, and it's been challenging, especially as we've been cancelling routes and network at the same time, which has added to that backlog and grown. I'm incredibly grateful for all the work my own team and the teams have done to support. However, it really is regrettable how long it's taken. It has taken longer than usual to process refunds, and at times we've failed to provide the clarity needed, and this has understandably let a lot of people down. And this goes against everything that Virgin Atlantic and Virgin we stand for. Yeah. It's really disappointing that we've caused this pain for our agency partners that are so important to us, but also their customers and our customers. And let me personally assure you, we are doing everything we can to improve this. We are continually to train and increase the size of our team to make sure that we process at a greater number. Just last month, we brought back over 167 people off furlough just to process refunds. We are dealing with a number of inquiries a day. We're actually receiving over 10,000 inquiries a day, including refund requests. Since April, as I say, we've increased the size of the dedicated team processing refunds. It's 5 times larger than what it was. And we are processing refunds 30% quicker compared to the start of the crisis.
Okay. And that's because you've got more manpower on it, more resource. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think Lee, it's great to see you be so candid and to offer that apology. And I'm sure that will be really well received by the trade. I mean, I think, it's been off the scale, hasn't it, in terms of the size of the operation. We understand that. But of course, people have been saying, you're saying it's because you didn't have enough people and it was just such a big undertaking. But there's lots of reports saying that you purposely withheld refunds in order to prop up the company because obviously your financial situation was well documented. So, what do you say to people who are accusing you that it might have been an intentional delays that were happening?
We've been focused on ensuring that we're processing as many refunds as we can on a daily basis. We've had at times as high as 85% of our teams furloughed. It's purely been a challenge on capacity. Yeah. Now we've started to increase the capacity and bring people back into the organisation. As I say, we're now processing 30% more quickly compared to the start. We went out and we had to make sure that we provided a timeline, and we've said that every customer, including if they book directly with Virgin Atlantic or through one of our trade partners, will receive a refund in 120 days. Some and most are quicker than that. but we've set a time limit that no one will have to wait longer than 120 days from when they submitted that refund request. We are continuing to increase our capacity on a week-by-week basis.
Okay.
We know that we need to increase this capacity and get those refunds done quicker. Everybody will receive a refund.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. I mean, you made the point, saying it's so disappointing for you when you are a brand that has traditionally, had this fantastic reputation for customer service. And, the money saving expert list that they published on July the 7th, which, you're nodding, what I'm going to say, but you were second only to Ryanair in terms of being the worst for customer service with regard to refunds. So I know you're saying that things, are starting to pick up, but that was only a couple of weeks ago that list came out. And I suppose my question is, has too much damage been done for it to be repaired because of this, bad reputation you now have, or do you think that you can recover from that?
I think, obviously, as I said earlier, we know that during this period it's been unprecedented times. To your point, I hope that our partners, and a lot of them that I speak to, certainly with last week's news, have been incredibly supportive. I know our customers, because I've seen what's booking. They know, and I think people will appreciate the fact this has been a really unprecedented time. This is not something that, as you say, we're famous for. This is not a position that we would like to find ourselves in again, and we know that we need to rebuild some of that trust. We are working incredibly hard, as I said, to ensure that we achieve the timelines that we've published, and we're also, as I say, increasing our capacity. One of our core strategic pillars, one of our values as an organisation, is what is best in partnering. We pride ourselves on being fantastic to do business with. So we need to make sure that we get back to that, and we're out there talking to our partners, key partners, on a day-to-day basis. And now we've increased the number of people that are in the organisation. I really believe that we can get back to where we were. And I stand by that. The UK travel trade and the UK consumer needs a fit and healthy Virgin Atlantic, challenging and continuing to challenge to ensure that there's competitiveness there, to ensure that there are low fares in the market, and we continue to challenge those legacy carriers.
Yes. Okay. So you need them to keep booking you and to keep supporting you. And I'm sure I do really appreciate your honesty there, Lee. Thank you. Well, let's talk about agents. So many times through this interview, you've talked about how important they are. And I know when you took this role, Lee, you and I spoke, and you said it was your key priority was to re-engage with the trade. You really wanted to sort of get them on board and sort of rekindle those relationships. And you just talked there about wanting to be this great partner. So, tell me how you're going to do that with the trade. You mentioned getting really good information to them. Obviously, that's key, so they can pass on your messages. But what else are you going to be doing? So,
I suppose the first thing to say today is we'll be announcing this week, which we haven't told anybody else yet, but we'll be announcing our new sales team. So we have made some changes to our sales team. So couple of, I suppose, headline changes. So Sarah Andal, who was head of leisure sales, Sarah is staying within my team, but will be heading up market development. And Sarah's role will be working with key agencies and the key commercial function of those agencies to ensure that we maximise our performance and they get the most out of us. Sarah has been in that role, been in her previous role for a couple of years, heading up leisure sales. Nikki Goldsmith, who was head of product and purchasing at Virgin Holidays, will be joining our team as head of leisure sales, so heading up leisure sales for Virgin Atlantic. Her role and her key remit is to get out there and really engage with our key trade partners to educate, to ensure that they have all of the information that's required, and ensure that we are absolutely on point with the content that we're providing, if that's training, if that's development. And then we'll also be looking at, we alluded to this in the start of the year, that we were looking at a new agency incentive scheme. We obviously put that on ice for a period of time. We are going to pick that up again. We haven't got a date yet of when we'll announce it, but we absolutely want to look at what we can do with that piece of work that we're looking at going into Q4 and then into which we all hope is a very good peak trading period in January.
Abby.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, brilliant. Well, we talked a lot about that, and of course it had gone quiet, and I understand that, but that's fantastic because I know that was something you really wanted to bring to the market.
Yes. So we are formulating those plans at the moment. So Nikki officially started their role on the 1st of July. Sarah started her new role on the 1st of July. We also have Charlotte Preston, who's the head of sales operations, and her role will be to support travel agents with day-to-day inquiries. We've built a new team in that space as well. Charlotte will be in that space.
And are these people replacing anybody? I mean,
so
or is it like an expanded team, or
we brought in one more into the team. So one more into my direct team, and then underneath that, we've made some changes to the account management team, which we'll publish this week to say who the new account managers are. So we have reshuffled our account management team, and that team took effect from the 1st of July. Some of them are furloughed at the moment. We've just brought a number of them back into the business in July to make sure that we start engaging and supporting as we return to flying, but also managing some of the issues that we've talked about on this call.
Yeah.
So we've increased our workforce from a sales perspective by 20% in July, and then we'll look at again as we get into September, October, and we return. But
okay. So those cuts that you had to make, that regrettably I know, but you had to make those cuts. They haven't affected trade-facing roles, and in fact, if anything, you've increased your team as
we've reshuffled our team. We've reshuffled the team. So we have had some reduction, but we've reshuffled our team to ensure that we've invested in a dedicated market development and business development function that we didn't have before. So that is now a team of 7 people, and then we have a team of 7 people that does purely leisure trade sales, and a team of 7 people that do travel management sales, and a team of 7 that do corporate sales as well.
Okay, all right, good. Well, look, you've made me write notes. That's the first for a webcast. I mean, I could just replay it later and write.
I don't know if that worries me or.
No, it's great because it's lovely when people come on, and it does certainly feel like an important day to be talking to you, Lee. As you say, flights restarting. I know they're not, all passengers. You've got your cargo and stuff, and you've got to make sure they're cash positive, and we understand all that. But it'd be great to see Virgin aircraft back in the skies. And, and all these things that you're saying, it has been a really tough time, but it's great that you've got such commitment to the trade, actually.
No, we're absolutely, we're so, it's a real milestone day that, this is the day that we return to passenger flying. So it's great to speak to you today. Great to speak to everyone. And we're really excited about and positive about where we're heading, but it's been a difficult period, and we know we've got some work to do, but the team is here, the team is ready, and we're ready to start rebuilding that.
All right. Well, look, thank you so much for your time, Lee, and thank you for being so honest about all the different aspects that we've discussed this morning. And we're very much looking forward to supporting you and your new team in everything that you're doing. So thank you very much to Lee Haslett from Virgin Atlantic.
Thank you,
Lee.
Bye.